What's going on, America? Kevin from Kevin's Corner, where I try to make some sense out of nonsense. And you remember, y'all remember, I did my live show, and I was talking about this whole Nancy Pelosi and Paul Pelosi situation. And I was getting really concerned because I'm watching the news and they were saying all this stuff. And then when people was like having some questions or concerns, then they were attacking them and saying, man, shut your mouth and be quiet because you're spreading dis and misinformation and you're putting Paul and Nancy in jeopardy. And it's all because of Donald Trump and his rhetoric and those white nationalists and stuff like that. So I was getting a little concerned. Now, I want to let everybody know I'm not okay with violence of any sort, but I'm also not okay with people blaming other people for political reasons for doing something that they didn't do. Which it appears that the left is good at this. They're always either accusing us of doing something they themselves are guilty of, or they just make it up. Something that just naturally happens. They would just say, you know what? How about we just go ahead and spin that and say that the only reason this happened was because of the rhetoric coming out of the right. So I did not know that Tucker Carlson was covering this because I covered this briefly during my live show, if you watch my live show. And then last night I caught this segment from Tucker Carlson, and I learned new details about this whole thing. So maybe we can unravel it and get to the bottom of it, because we would hate to think that the news would be out there spreading rumors and only adding to the fuel and division in our country. So Tucker, please do elaborate. Before we get to this video, make sure you hit like, share my videos, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Also, make sure that your notifications are on and they're set to all. Now, let's get into this. But first, quick commercial break. Did you know Noble Gold's team of precious metal experts have helped thousands of customers just like you to build and reserve wealth through times like this? Find out why gold, silver, and IRAs are the answer to inflation and financial contagion. Talk to a personal precious metal expert today. Oh, and this month, they are gifting a free 3-ounce precious silver American Virtue coin with every qualifying IRA above $20,000. You can't go wrong with Noble Gold. Call the team now at 877-646-5347, or to find out more, just visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Now, let's get to this video.
If you tuned into the Today Show this morning, you may have been surprised to find actual news being committed on your screen. There was NBC News correspondent Miguel Almaguer letting you know that actually that assault on Paul Pelosi in San Francisco that you read about last week, that story was a whole lot stranger than you ever imagined. Whoa. According to Almaguer, citing several law enforcement sources with direct knowledge, it was Paul Pelosi who opened the door for police when they arrived. Whoa. Now, you'll remember that authorities had previously told us that the intruder, David DePape, had broken into Paul Pelosi's bedroom on the 3rd floor of the house.
Whoa, now, right off grip, I'm concerned. I'm questioning some things if I'm allowed to actually be honest and use some deductive reasoning, and this is a free country and we're allowed to question some things. My first thought would be, wait a minute. Well, first of all, why did Paul Pelosi open the door if he was being accosted? It's kind of like the same thing of those police officers in the Capitol that was walking around and hugging folks and taking selfies with them all, but yet they were under siege or something like that. There was supposed to be an insurrection going on. That's confusing. These are conflicting behaviors. You understand? Because I would think that just like they said that the Capitol was under siege and it was an insurrection and there was no sense of urgency from the cops or the insurrectionists once they got in, well, there was no sense of urgency from Paul Pelosi. So he opens the door. How is he even able to do that? Was this guy holding him down? If this guy was kidnapping him, then how did you get to the door? But then the other thing is broke into the 3rd story. What did he, is he a monkey? Did he climb up there? But you know what? I'm not even going to go ahead and pop my brain trying to figure out these details unless it gets real crazy. Let's see.
And woken him up. Yet somehow both Pelosi and DePape were on the ground floor by the time police got there. Moreover, according to Almaguer, Pelosi and DePape had been together in the house for at least half an hour. And yet, strangely, they both seemed fine. With police present, Almaguer reported, Paul Pelosi, quote, did not immediately declare an emergency or leave his home. Instead, he, quote, walked back several feet toward the assailant.
What a strange behavior. So let me get this straight. You call 911. Someone please call 911. They show up. And your response is to casually open the door and instead of grabbing and hugging him and say, thank God you saved my life. He's in there. Go get him. You open the door and back up towards your captor. You know what? I'm not going to even try to figure it out because I don't want to get removed from YouTube. I'm just going to have to pretend like I'm a bubblehead and aren't able to make these connections and question these things. So let's continue.
And away from police. What?
Away from
Paul Pelosi walked away from the police and toward David DePape? What could possibly explain behavior like that?
don't
And what
know.
were the two doing for the 30 minutes before police arrived?
knows?
Under normal circumstances, we wouldn't want to know. Paul Pelosi's personal life is his business. It's not our business. We've got nothing against the guy. We believe in privacy. But unfortunately for Paul Pelosi, there's an election coming next week, and his wife's allies immediately politicized the assault against him. They tried to tell us that David DePape, a homeless, illegal alien nudist drug addict who had a BLM flag hanging near the broken school bus that he lives in, was actually a right-wing hitman inspired by Q, determined to act out the violence of January 6th in Nancy Pelosi's own home. They told us that, like we'd believe it.
Yeah. See, and this is where they always go wrong. Whether they plan these things to happen or they just happen, they never stop for 1 second to say, you know what? What does a conservative look and act like? I mean, I think they try to create these narratives based on their perception of what they think conservatives are, how they behave, and so on and so forth. It's kind of like those FBI agents that showed up at that second supposedly, rally up there in Washington. And I guess they thought that they were looking like conservatives with their nice come get me tight shorts, khakis on, and their polo shirts and their sunglasses and their macchiatos, talking about this is MAGA country. No. See, there's a certain type of air, there's a certain type of demeanor. You just kind of feel it, see? And I don't think they've mastered that yet. They haven't really tapped into how, when you talk about, hey, I'm a conservative, really thinks and behaves. They think that we're ignorant. They think that we're dumb. All of these stereotypical things that they think. They think we're going to show up at rallies with big old Confederate flags on our backs and big cowboy hats, or with tiki torches and stuff like that up there in Virginia with a black guy right in the middle of them. They don't really know how to pull real false flags because they're doing it based on their perception of what they think we are and how we will act. That's the first thing that made me question J6. When I start looking at young men who was up there with big old helmets and glasses, and they had these not masks that keep you from catching COVID, but these were the other masks that I see all the time. When I see those clips of them really tearing up stuff in those liberal cities and stuff. Just their demeanor, the way they walk, the way they act, the way they behave, all of that, I was going, those don't look like Trump supporters, okay? Same thing with this guy. So we're supposed to believe, based on all of those things that Tucker just described, this guy, radical, right-wing extremist, motivated by Trump in San Francisco. So that's the first mistake. It's out of context. This is a true Jesse Smollett because he wanted us to believe that in liberal Chicago, two white dudes in the middle of the night walking around looking for that gay guy from, that show, and there he is. Let's go get him. Well, that was very hard to believe. But let's continue because maybe this right here will clear some things up.
Then the president of the United States went on television and said it again.
Yeah.
It's laughably absurd. Russia bombed its own pipeline. Okay. But they said it, and they're still saying it. Then, out of nowhere, comes the Today Show, the head baton twirler in the Democratic Party's media pep squad, and completely, probably unintentionally, blows up their lie. After watching Al Magir's story in the Today Show this morning, you could only conclude, as Elon Musk put it, there's a tiny possibility there might be more to this story than meets the eye. And now we know for a fact that there is more to the story because NBC News has Jeffrey Epsteined the entire thing. NBC deleted Al Magir's story both from its website and from Twitter. Why'd they do that? Well, obviously, they did it because the report was true. When was the last time you saw someone punished for lying? No one's ever punished for lying. You can lie all you want. What you can't do is tell the truth about something important. That's dangerous. You will be punished if you do that. And many are punished, in case you haven't noticed. So just for fun, we called over to NBC News today. We wanted to get their explanation for why they censored their own story. But mostly, for being honest, we just wanted to rub their noses in the fact that they're not journalists at all. They're obedient little throne-sniffing servants to the party in power. Predictably, NBC News refused to tell us what was wrong with their own story, but of course we already knew what was wrong with it. Nancy Pelosi didn't like it. Nancy Pelosi did appreciate the story that NBC News ran entitled, "The GOP has Paul Pelosi's blood on its hands."
Wow. Now that's quite an exaggeration and an assumption when they are trying to make the connection that it's because of the GOP that this very liberal guy out in San Francisco decided to, I guess, break into the Pelosi house and whatever, just like they were supposed to be running around trying to hang Mike Pence and kill Pelosi and all that stuff with that little teeny rope and that badly built gallows. And we're supposed to believe this guy was in there trying to do something similar. Now, see, they should have left well enough alone. See, if they wouldn't have brought us into this and tried to make the connection, most likely people wouldn't be digging into this. In fact, I didn't think it was even important. When I heard about it, I was like, oh man, somebody I mean, I assumed that he was doing whatever he was doing and whatever shenanigans because they're San Franciscoans and they're raggedy, corrupt politicians, no telling what they do behind closed doors. So I didn't even invest in the story until I start hearing that MAGA folks was responsible for it, which shines that spotlight on your narrative and make people start digging. And we got enough common sense to know that, number one, Democrats are corrupt and they will try to assign behaviors to us and set us up and all of that stuff. They do it all the time. And number two, none of it made sense. Now, they should have just went ahead and buried the story. But no, they tried to politicize it and open up a whole can of worms and scrutiny. And now Tucker got involved. Ooh, they don't want that. Let's continue.
That story remains on the NBC website tonight. It meets their, quote, standards. So what are we watching here?
Yeah.
Well, lying, obviously. So at the top of the show, we told you about the pretty amazing report that aired on the Today Show this morning about what happened inside Paul Pelosi's home. Then that story got Epstein. The guards fell asleep, the story killed itself and disappeared.
Now see, and that's where they go wrong because see, they make the narrative so unbelievable once they get caught and people start digging that it becomes obvious that there's something else going on. Just like Nasty Pelosi didn't want to release any of that extra video footage from J6. That's the first thing that made me go, wait a minute. Or how they didn't want to go after that Bigfoot out there talking about, I gotta go in the Capitol. Yeah, that guy. They didn't want to go after him. Or how they had no interest in going after that bomber who allegedly was trying to blow up Kamala Harris. Those are the first things that make me go, they're corrupt and trying to set us up. This is not what really happened. When they start coming out defending Ray Epps, I said, something's funny. So now you get this situation where they drop a true story that they probably was going, oh crap, I didn't know that that was going to destroy the narrative and hurt Nasty Pelosi. And she probably called him talking about, you know who this is nasty. And you wrote a nasty story about us. Get rid of it now before I send my monkey paw to deal with you. So now they had to retract it. And then Tucker asked them why, and what rational, logical answer can you give them? The only one you can say is because we lied about the story initially, or the story was true, and we afterwards said, oh crap, did we hurt Nancy? We'll pull the story. And if anybody asks why, just don't say anything. Let us go ahead and just get through the voting, and then we'll let the chips fall where they may. So either this guy did a whole story and lied about him opening the door, walking away from the police, not letting the police officer know initially that, hey, I'm in trouble, or now they got to bury the story as an afterthought. But they were okay with the other story and the other narrative about we got blood on our hands, y'all.
It's been scrubbed from the internet, but we kept a copy so you could see it. Here it is.
Sources familiar with what unfolded in the Pelosi residence now revealing when officers responded to the high-priority call, they were seemingly unaware they'd been called to the home of the Speaker of the House.
Now, I'm looking at this picture right there, and I noticed that the glass is on the outside of the window. Now, I'm not a detective. I'm not Columbo. I'm not Matlock or any of those people. But normally, when you break glass, to get in a house, the glass ends up inside the house. And when you break glass some other way, it's on the outside. But you know what? I'm just a regular guy in my corner seeing this. So I'm sure these wonderful, highfalutin investigators wouldn't miss something like that. I mean, if they do, then I need to go ahead and give them a call or either get their salary. Kind of like, corrupt Christopher Wray, where for some reason the FBI just cannot figure out who these people are running around loading all of these pallets of bricks in all of these different cities and stuff like that. And all of that stuff right there, that's too difficult. They eluded them. See, now if I could figure out how to catch that, then why can't they? Oh, it's because they don't want to. They're trying to protect the Democrats. So let's continue.
After a knock and announce, the front door was opened by Mr. Pelosi.
And let me guess, he was screaming and saying, oh, God, thank you. Oh, man, that was a close one. This dude in there trying to kill me, man. I don't even know who this dude is. I'm sure that's what's coming next.
The 82-year-old did not immediately declare an emergency or try to leave his home.
The 82-year-old did not immediately declare an emergency or try to leave his home.
The 82-year-old did not immediately declare an emergency or try to leave his home.
82-year-old that apparently was about to be, I guess, tortured or whatever until Nasty got home. He didn't say he was under any type of danger, any type of danger, nothing. Okay, let's see.
But instead began walking several feet back into the foyer toward the assailant.
But instead began walking several feet back into the foyer toward the assailant.
One more time.
Instead, began walking several feet back into the foyer toward the assailant.
And away from police. Why Pelosi didn't try to flee or tell responding officers he was in distress is unclear.
We still don't know exactly what unfolded between Mr. Pelosi and the suspect for the 30 minutes they were alone inside that house before police arrived.
Fishy.
Wait, they were alone in the house for 30 minutes before police arrived, and Pelosi didn't seem upset when the police finally got there? What is that?
Relax.
We don't know. We do know that almost immediately after that report aired, NBC News deleted it from their website and also from Twitter. On the NBC website, an editor's note reads this way, quote, "The piece should not have aired because it did not meet NBC News reporting standards," end quote. Well, NBC News has no reporting standards. This is the company that leaked the Access Hollywood tape to the Washington Post to destroy Donald Trump before he became president. It's a political organization, obviously. It has no standards. But it's to torture them. We called over to NBC News and asked, well, why exactly did you do this? And they refused to tell us.
And see, that's why I love Tucker. He does things that I would do. See, I'm going to make you admit that that was stupid or make you admit that you're corrupt, okay? I'm not going to let you get away with just brushing me off. I'm going to do you like my college coach did one of my best friends to try to give him the brush off. And he said, hey, Robert, how many times you going to do that, son? And Robert walked off like, man, I don't know, coach. And the coach was like, hey, Robert, made him turn around and look him in the eyes. And he said, if you don't know, who knows? So basically, I don't want the brush off answer, man. If you don't know why you did something, then who knows? Who's in control? Somebody go find me the person in control of your brain and your thoughts. Tell me why you let your guy go out there, do a story. It must have been approved because it aired. And then somehow you pull it. And you're expecting us to not look at that as strange and bizarre. Didn't meet your standards, huh?
But we can recap what we know. And again, we don't want to be talking about this in the first place, but the President of the United States is claiming that Paul Pelosi was attacked by some kind of right-wing Trump voter or whatever. So here's what we know. Last Friday night, Paul Pelosi called 911 to report that his, quote, friend was in the house. That friend was David DePape. David DePape is an illegal alien, drug addict, hippie nudist, living in a school bus with a BLM sign out front. Kind of a classic right-winger, right? So initial reports told us that DePape was, when the police arrived, in his underwear. Then local news retracted that claim for reasons no one ever explained.
Yeah, that's strange. So wait, let me understand. From what I'm hearing Tucker say is, number one, initially he, quote, said, a friend is in my house. Now, wait a minute. I thought it was a white nationalist Trump supporter who he didn't know. But then the second thing is this white nationalist Trump supporter doesn't have any characteristics of a white nationalist Trump supporter, according to what they've been stereotyping us to be. But thirdly, why did he show up in his underwear? But then the news changed that story because it's harder to explain why he opened the door in his underwear while being accosted by a white nationalist Trump supporter who he claimed was his friend, and then instead of running into the arms of the police, back up towards the white national Trump supporter. That doesn't make any sense. So now you have to change up the truth while you go. See, you got to make the adjustment to the narrative that the Democrats want to put out. Let's continue.
Then, according to NBC, when police arrived, Pelosi didn't try to run. In fact, he walked back toward David DePape. What the hell? We hate even to speculate about any of this, but they're forcing the issue because they're telling us that this was a replay of January 6th. Yeah. So we have a right to know what exactly it really was.
Yeah. And see, that's all we're saying. See, now, of course, you know, this video probably will get suppressed. And if I was a little bit bigger and had a bigger channel, I'm sure that I would come under scrutiny for showing the footage that I guess CBS or whoever they were put out. Yeah, because they tried to get rid of everything. But it just goes to show the level of effort that the Democrats and the media is willing to go to demonize conservatives, demonize white conservatives especially, and to divide the country and to protect the narratives of the Democrat Party. And I don't see how anyone could take them serious and say that these are legitimate politicians or legitimate newscasters and stations. No, they're all big old fat propagandists, and they're tricking a lot of people, unfortunately. And if anybody doesn't have just your built-in common sense to go, I don't know about that. If they want us to just go ahead and submit to saying we'll accept what narrative that y'all just throw out there, you got another thing coming. What you're basically asking me to do is forsake my common sense. And I can't go for that. No. No can do. But what I can do is continue to monitor this situation and give you updates as they develop. I'm sure more details come out after the election. Now, God bless y'all. God bless America. Don't forget to hit that like button, share my videos, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, all those good places. Follow my podcast, please do. And go over and subscribe to my Rumble channel so I don't have to worry about censoring what I'm saying like right now. You know what I'm saying? Please do that. If you want to donate to my channel, the links are below the video. And don't forget, check out Extreme Tees, my sponsor. If you like the products, click on the link below. Put Kevin in the promo code, you'll get a 20% discount. All right, see y'all next time. Take care.